Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg, and today we're going to be playing some Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. So I honestly can't remember if I did a video on this already or not, because it would have been a while ago. I don't think I did. I don't remember really explaining the game. I know I just recently used it in Hanging with Mangg, and I probably used it in another Hanging with Mangg a long time ago. But I don't think I really explained the game. So that's what I'm going to do today. We're going to stream for a while. I'm going to explain the whole game. We're going to play through it. We're probably going to die, so we'll probably go through it a couple times. And I'll explain the whole game and teach it as I understand. I'm not good. I'm not good at this game. Okay? Let's be real clear. I suck. If you can check my high scores list, you can see all these characters that I've had die. And you can see my top score is 53,000. My lowest score is 27. So yeah, that guy died on the first level. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm not good, but I like it. I like the game. I want to learn. I want to beat it. I have yet to beat it. It's probably not going to happen tonight, but maybe someday. Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup is a rogue-like in the truest sense of the word, I guess. It is a very old school retro RPG, except, you know, there's not really much role-playing going on, really. It is a dungeon crawl. So, if we pick new game, first thing first, you're going to select your species. You see here they've got the whole gamut of species. Yeah, 26. They've got one for each letter there. That's pretty cool. So 26 different species. Each one is different. Starting with basic human, which just advance quickly in levels and have equal abilities in most skills. It's funny enough, you know, if you read a bunch about Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, nobody ever mentions humans. Humans seem to be rarely used. I'm not sure exactly why, but I myself have never used one. My favorite species is no longer in the game. They removed it quite a while ago. It's called the Lava Orc. It was just so cool thematically. I thought they were awesome. I never beat the game with them either, but I thought they were cool. So they removed them for whatever reason. So yeah, you've got all sorts of stuff. You know, traditional kind of elves, dwarves, orcs, halflings. But then you also get stuff like you can play as a Naga, or as a Draconian, a Gargoyle. You can play as a Demigod, which you think would be pretty awesome. I've never won with them either. A Mummy, an Octopode. Yeah. So they all have different pros. They all have different cons. They have different starting stats. They gain different stats as levels goes on. Some are better at melee. Some are better at range. Some are better at magic. So on and so forth. So we're going to go with Troll. We want the most kind of bare bones, overpowered stuff we can get. Minotaur is highly recommended for starting. Hill Orc is recommended for starting, and Troll is recommended for starting. So we're gonna go with Trolls. That's what I've been, like, my last 4 or 5 runs have been with Trolls, so it's what I'm doing right now. Trolls are large brutes with powerful claws, always hungering for raw meat. They regenerate health rapidly. So, Trolls, we're not going to be using any sort of weapons, melee weapons or anything like that. We're just going to be using our claws with unarmed combat. Most of the time it's not really recommended, but with Trolls, their claws give them big bonuses, and it actually is viable. They can eat meat no matter pretty much how full they are. And we'll talk about the hunger system later, but that is a bonus. And they regenerate health, which is good. Their downside really is that they cannot use almost any magic. Well, they can, but it's a lot tougher to use magic. And they have a lot of armor restrictions, but there are ways that we can mitigate that. So you pick your race, you pick your species, and now you get to pick your background, which is kind of your class. You can kind of do anything you want. You can start as a fighter and easily use magic and become a wizard and things like that. And you can start as a wizard and start using melee and blah, blah, blah. So it really kind of just determines your starting skills and your starting equipment and things like that. So we're going to pick monk. We could pick fighter, but we don't really benefit from the armor at all. And the shield, that's nice, but we don't really need it in the early game, so we'll try to pick up one later. The monk gets additional piety with the first god they worship, and so that's going to help us out, because we'll talk about the religion system later. A lot of people will pick Berserker for starting, because Berserkers start immediately with the god Trog, who hates magic. You can't really use any magic with Trog, so it's very simple. You eliminate that whole part of the game, and you get you can berserk right away. And berserking is very powerful. It's a very powerful ability. It kind of really buffs you up. But when the berserking ends, you get exhausted. So if you end your berserking rage before you kill everything around you, you can easily be killed yourself. So it's a little tricky. We're gonna go with monk though, because we want that. So we have a choice of weapons. Now, where it's, some of the options are white and some of the options are gray. That doesn't mean you can't pick the gray option. You could pick always the gray options anywhere. So when we were back on the class background menu, we could have picked anything. The white ones are just like the recommended ones. So we will pick claws. And for our name, we'll just get a random one. So our name is Tokwab. Tokwab the Ruffian. Okay, so welcome, Tokwab the Troll Monk. Will you prevail where others failed? Will you find the Orb of Zot? Now, like, the graphics, very retro, okay? They're very old school. This is even like the improved graphical version of the game. The original version of the game was just, not something I would play. These graphics are good enough though. I actually like the very simplistic stuff here. Okay, so we are in the dungeon. This is level 1 of the dungeon. You can see what level you are on the right side here. Place dungeon 1. You get your health, you got your magic points, your armor class, your evasion score, your shield rank, strength, intelligence, dexterity, so on and so forth. Your level, how much gold you have, so on and so forth. Down here on this thing, this is our map of the level. It's rarely actually, I don't actually look at it too much. Oh, by the way, the music you're hearing is not from the game. I have that playing in the background just because there is no music in the game. It's retro. Down here you have a bunch of options, but I'm going to be using the keyboard for most things. And here you have your inventory. So as a monk, we start with our +0 robe and a couple loaves of bread. Okay. So, the early game is pretty simple. Usually you don't die. Obviously, as you saw, it can happen, because I'm stupid. But usually early game for a pure melee thing is pretty simple. We're going to be using the auto explore option, which is a press of the O key on the keyboard. And that will run around to every part of the map that we have not been to until it encounters something of note, and then it will automatically stop. So it is completely turn-based. Things really only happen when you do something. And there we encounter our first enemy. Very easy, a bat. And so you can press the tab key, and that will automatically attack or move towards the closest enemy on screen. So early in the game, especially as a melee character, you can burn through the early levels very quickly by just pressing O to auto-explore, and it will also automatically pick up any items that are important to you, and then you can just press tab as soon as you see an enemy, and you'll pretty much kill everything. Now, this bat left behind its corpse. You can see here we got a bat corpse. You can butcher it to produce chunks of meat. This is important to most characters. Most species, you're going to want to press the C key, and that will immediately butcher the corpse, and we get a chunk of flesh. Piece of raw meat found in the dungeon. It won't stay fresh for long. eating is important because constantly as you do stuff, you are going to get more and more hungry. Okay? Most of the hunger levels don't affect you too much, but when you get to the starving levels, that's when you are drastically weakened because you are just hungry. I think if you're very hungry or below, then you can't berserk, but we don't have to worry about that. And we don't really have to worry about ever being hungry because we are going to butcher every single corpse that we see, and you pretty much automatically consume any food that is, or any of these chunks that are in your inventory, and so we'll pretty much always be at very full or engorged most of the game. That is a benefit of being a troll, is that we can pretty much always eat meat whenever we want. Even if we're already like full, we can still eat. So yeah, it's pretty much this is pretty much how these early levels go. You're gonna encounter enemies. There were some goblins. You just press O until you find something. You kill it with tab. You press C on the corpse, and you move on. So the items that it's going to pick up when we reach level 2, so that's nice. The items that it's automatically going to pick up are highlighted in green here. So here are 2 golden potions. It's going to pick up anything that is kind of useful to your character, usable in some way. So it'll pick up potions, because you can use potions, but it won't automatically pick up arrows or bolts, things like that. If I decided to pick this up myself manually, then it would decide, oh, he wants to pick up bolts, so then it would automatically pick up every bolt that I saw. Mundane weapons, like these daggers, clubs, and stuff, it won't ever automatically pick up. I don't think it ever automatically picks up any weapons or armor. You have to do that manually. So you have to be on the watch. You have to be on the lookout for magical stuff, because it will not automatically pick it up. So you can't just burn through everything. Sometimes you do have to keep an eye open. Usually magic weapons and armor do have a different color to them, so you can usually tell. Okay, so we picked up some potions. We picked up some scrolls. Now you see here a scroll labeled Hivu Trest. A scroll labeled Konuhonu. Scrolls and potions are always, pretty much always unidentified at first. So I have no idea what these scrolls do. I have no idea what these potions do. So, as an option, you can just use them unidentified, and that will find out what they do. So if I drink this potion right now, I find out it's a potion of curing. Now, I just wasted it because I was at full health. But now I know for the rest of the game, this potion, this color is always a potion of curing. So now it will start... Whenever I find another one, it will just say it's a potion of curing. I don't have to identify the new ones because the game just knows. It's just randomized every game. Scrolls are the same way. Once you use them for the rest of the game, that specific type of scroll is identified to you, and you do not have to re-identify it. Now, of course, there are scrolls of identify. And with those, you can use those on scrolls, you can use those on weapons, on rings, on armor, on potions, and that will just tell you what it does without wasting the item. So scrolls of identify are very useful early in the game. We want to get as many as we can and use them. So unfortunately, for the most part, we have to kind of use the scrolls to find out which ones are the scrolls of identify. Alright, so we hit level 3. Every 3 levels, you're going to get an increase to one of your attributes. Of your choice, so strength, intelligence, dexterity. We're not really going to use much magic, probably not at all. We'll use wands if we find them, but that's not based on intelligence. So our primary goals are strength and dexterity, but for right now our main goal is dexterity. The reason why is because we want to boost our evasion. So if we go to our skills, these are our skills right now that we can actually increase. So, for example, like shields are a skill. So you can increase your shield skill to make you better at blocking and lower the penalty for having a shield and blah, blah, blah. But since we do not have a shield and our character has never held a shield in his life, that is not a trainable skill. So we cannot gain experience in it until we have a shield, obviously. So fighting is pretty useful. Fighting is kind of the all-around melee ability, and it increases our health, so it's very important to us. Unarmed combat increases our ability to hit with unarmed combat. That's most important, so we're actually going to focus that. So what's happening here is these brown numbers, that is the percentage of XP that we get that is going to each skill. So you kill a rat, you get 10 XP, or, you know, whatever the number is. That XP gets divided then amongst all of your skills. This is how I understand it, I guess. Obviously, you have an overall level that is based on how much XP you've gotten, but your XP is divided amongst your skills. So you can actually alter the percentages to a degree that goes into each of your skills. So say I want to start buffing spellcasting. I can focus spellcasting so that now 14% of my XP goes into spellcasting. Obviously, I don't want to do that, so we will remove that. Stealth, we can do the same thing. We can focus it, so instead of 6%, it goes to 14% if we want more stealth. I can also remove it entirely so that the other numbers go up higher because there's less things to split. Stealth is not terrible. I could remove it, but it's fine. And then dodging here, that's obviously our evasion, our ability to dodge attacks. We have armor, which I could increase, but keep in mind, I don't really have any armor. I'm wearing a robe, so armor is not really that useful to me because the armor skill reduces the penalty for wearing armor. I don't really have any penalty for wearing armor because I'm not wearing any. So we don't need to train that almost at all right now. So we could focus dodging to get better at dodging, but that would reduce our fighting number. And we want fighting to be competent because that's our health. Health is very important. But right now, our main goal is unarmed combat for a little while because we want to be able to hit things very reliably. Because if we do not hit things, then we die, and that's no good for anybody. So, yeah, like I said, these early levels, once you've explored the whole level with Auto Explore, when you press the button, it'll say Done Exploring. Which one? In that case, then we move to the stairs downward, and we go to Dungeon 2. These early levels consist of just gaining, XP, improving our skills, improving our health, finding potions, finding scrolls, figuring out what they do, and maybe finding a rare item, but chances are pretty slim. Let's use this because we have two of them. So this is a blink scroll. So those are actually very useful. I hate to waste it, but once you click on it, you can't do anything about it. So it's identified, it's used. So now we know for the rest of the game that is a scroll of blinking. That was a scroll of noise, so that'll cause enemies to come towards us. This is a scroll of identify. So once you use this, you can see all the unidentified items in your inventory. We have two more scrolls, and we have two potions, so click this, we identify it as a scroll of curse. Remove curse, remove curse. And click this, it's a scroll of recharging. We don't have any rechargeable items, so that's wasted as well. It's just kind of a process of wasting stuff. You can just hold out. You can hold out until you have multiples of every potion, so you don't throw away your whole supply, or you can hold out until you get enough scrolls of identify, but that strategy has never worked for me, because potions and scrolls are very useful. And there are going to be oh shit moments where you want to use them, and you want to know what you're using. Because in those oh shit moments, you don't really have that many actions before you might be dead. So you can't spend 3 turns using like scrolls of noise that don't do anything for you before you die. You want to use that blink, or you want to use that teleport immediately. We can use a cloak, so I guess we'll equip that. It happens to be cursed. Cursed items pop up randomly, of course, and they're not always bad. This obviously is just a +0 cloak, so it doesn't matter that it's cursed. Cursed literally just means you cannot remove it until you remove the curse with a scroll or something. So obviously I'm not going to waste the scroll yet because this does not bother me. It's just a +0 cloak. But some of them are really bad, and you definitely want to remove them immediately. Shit. Okay, so you can see right here, I fell through a shaft for 2 floors. So randomly, I just tumbled into a shaft, and I plummeted down 2 floors. So I'm now on dungeon 4, which is not where I want to be. You don't want to be really out of your depth too much, because there are dangerous things. So we're gonna... Yeah, we're just gonna go straight for the staircase. We're gonna ignore pretty much everything else. I should be beefy enough that nothing would really pose too much trouble, but I absolutely could. You can die on any level, so don't get too cocky. Now you might think, as is always my thought, it's turn-based. Like, there's no, like, it's not like Dark Souls or anything. It's, you're in control of your character every step of the way, pretty much. Like, you can always plan ahead. The problem is, for me, the problem is hubris. The problem is cockiness. I always think, like, oh man, I'm really powerful. I take down everything so easily. And then the game's like, well, here's this enemy that you're going to think you can take down quickly. And then suddenly you're at 3 health. And, you got 1 action left for your turn, for your life. Good luck. And then you die. All right, so here's our first altar. You're going to see there's a bunch of these in the game. There are many gods in the game. This one is Trog, which I already explained. This is the Berserker god. I'm not really interested in it. I've played many Berserkers. I've never gotten that far. And I don't find it that entertaining to just be the Berserker over and over. So we will pass on Trog. But he's a very solid god. He's definitely capable. Okay, we first picked up our first ring, so we'll just use it. It is a cursed ring of teleportation. So this means that randomly, often, we will be teleported to some other part of the level, usually surrounded by monsters, if possible. So I do not like that ring. We will remove that with the remove curse. So the god that we are looking for is Okawaru, I think it's pronounced. Something like that. It is pretty much the most simple god in the entire game, I think. There is really not too much to it. And each god is very different. Each god is pleased by different actions. So some gods, such as Trog or Okawaru, are pleased when you kill stuff, which is very simple. You're going to be killing a lot of things throughout the game. It's a no-brainer in order to please them. Some of the gods are pleased when you... It's like Trog is pleased when you kill magic users or when you burn spell books. I haven't used a lot of the magic ones, so I don't even know what exactly pleases them. But they all have kind of their own triggers of what they like and what they don't like. Because you can easily piss off a god if you do certain things that they don't like. Like obviously some of the really good gods don't like if you use necromantic magic or something like that. Or if you kill non-hostile creatures or something like that. Of which there aren't that many in the game, but I've seen my fair share. And so as you please a god, assuming you don't piss them off, you gain piety, which is different for every god based like on the scale of how quickly you get it and how quickly it can go away or something like that. It's basically like the level of your relationship with the deity. And that piety gives you benefits. The more piety you have, the more blessings the god gives you, and so on and so forth, up to a maximum amount. And these ogres a little rough. Okay. So we have a wand of polymorph. So wands, when you get them, they will tell you what they do. It is not like potions and scrolls. They will tell you exactly what it does. It's a wand of polymorph. It can polymorph creatures into something kind of random. And each one has a certain number of charges. You can see it can have at most 24 charges. And so when you use it, obviously it uses up some charges. If it's identified, it uses up 1 charge each time you use it. I'm almost certain. If it's unidentified, it uses several charges. So there's a benefit to identifying it. But we're going to stick with potions and scrolls. So we got a potion of mutation. This is usually seen as a bad thing. Because random mutations, it can be good, it can be bad. There are specific potions that are purely beneficial mutations. Those are really good. Random mutation, I think on its own, the game decides not to auto-pick them up. So it just kind of marks them as a bad potion. I guess I can drink one just to show you. Okay. So I feel my magical essence linked to my wands. I feel clever and I feel frail. So if we go to our stats here, we can see frail 1, MP powered wands. That's probably not good for me because I'm never gonna have much MP. And what did I clever 1. So I feel clever and I feel frail. And if you go on the wiki, you can see what these all exactly mean. Otherwise, you're just kind of left to your own guesses. I think it modified my stats. So I think frail reduced my strength by 1 and clever upped my int by 1. So that was not really a good mutation, but they can be very powerful. Okay, a potion of agility. That could be okay. Okay, killed the ogre. Alright. What I was... the Okawaru. So the reason we want Okawaru, very simple god. He really only has 2 benefits. Technically 3. Right off the bat, pretty much right out the gate, when you start worshiping him, you get an ability called Heroism, which is a very cheap ability as far as god abilities go. It costs like 1 mana point and a small amount of piety. You lose a small amount of piety whenever you use it. But it increases... It increases all of your combat skills by 5, which is a big amount. So usually it's going to make combats pretty easy for a little while. I'll interject myself. This is some more deities. They're all the same one, though. The Shimmering Altar of Zom. Zom is like the worst deity as far as I'm concerned. We can read his little bit here. Zom is a wild and unpredictable god of chaos who seeks not worshippers but playthings with which to toy. Many choose to follow Zom in the hope of receiving fabulous rewards and mighty powers. But Zom is nothing if not capricious. There is nothing a follower can do to influence Zom's mood. And you can see granted powers, none. So he is the random deity, pretty much. Your piety goes up randomly, your piety goes down pretty much randomly. The things that he gifts you are random. They could be good, they could be bad. It's just, if you like that kind of mutation idea, then Zom is the deity for you. But I want to be a little bit more reliable than that. We move on to Dungeon 5. The other ability that Okawaru gives you is at 4 stars of piety, so it's fairly high up there, and it's finesse, and it basically gives you haste. So it just lets you do like twice as many attacks per round or something like that. So if you combine the 2 abilities, it's a fairly powerful combo, and they don't really cost much, and they're very basic. It's not like a complicated ability or anything like that. Also, he will gift you armor and weapons. So randomly, he will decide to favor you, and he'll put on the floor on your body here a magical weapon, a magical armor, and stuff like that. Now, the Trog also does that, but only for weapons. Thank you. Okay. Here's Fedhas. Let me finish what I was saying. The reason that we want Okawaru, other than the other benefits as I mentioned, But he will give us rare armor. And that's good for a troll, because a troll can only wear specific types of armor. So specific types of helmets and specific types of body armor and things like that. And so the god will only give you stuff that you can actually use. So if he gives us rare armor, we can guarantee to use it, which is very nice. So you notice that we've passed now a number of altars, and obviously every single level is generated randomly to a certain degree. So you have no idea what altars you're going to encounter. And so you might think, well, it's a complete crapshoot. You might never encounter an Okuwaru temple. Fortunately, Edmund can be tricky. Potion of haste, that'll help me. There we go. Here you can see a magic flail. It's blue, which is different than the normal flail. It's a dire flail of draining, but we don't use weapons, so we're gonna pass by it. There will be a portal. It should be coming up pretty soon, I'm hoping, to kind of a temple room that is filled with just temples. No enemies, nothing like that. It is literally just where you pick up a deity. And it might not have every deity, but chances are very high that it will have Okuwaru. So here's Sigmund. He's one of the hardest things you can encounter in these early levels. So if you can just, I don't know how well it shows up on your screen, but if you can just make out, there's these little ZZs right here. That means that he is pretty much sleeping. So if we had a high enough stealth skill, we could just walk up and stab him and he would be undefended. Those kinds of characters are called stabbers. So they rely on just using high stealth skill to sneak up on enemies and just stab them once and hopefully they die. We do not have a high stealth skill, so if I move here, still asleep, here, still asleep, here, we might get him. Oh, we got him. The problem is we got a hill giant coming our way, which is going to be even more dangerous. We killed him very quickly, so I'm happy about that. We'll retreat back. Okay, he missed me. Missed me? No. I think we're getting 2 hits to his 1. He missed me again. Missed me again. I think we got this. You can see he took out about half my health with 1. He hit me once. Hit you with a giant spike cloud. He hit me once. That was half my health. So, again, that's why we focus on, you know, evasion and stuff like that. Because we do not have the armor to kind of take this stuff. Okay, so we got an amulet. It is an amulet of faith. So it makes it easier to please your god, but also will take more notice of your transgressions. So that's fairly good for Okuwaru, because that lets us get gifts a little bit quicker. So that is a nice amulet to get. Now all we need to find is the temple, the altar. Those big open areas are what you want to watch out for, because that's usually where you get these big groups of enemies, and you have to kind of run back to a corridor, and you do want to run back to corridors most of the time, because then you can handle enemies one by one, which makes things a lot easier. I would say 90-some% of my deaths are from out in the open. Okay, that was a nice little killing spree. So we'll make sure we get all the meat. You can see our hunger level up here. We are in Gorge. We've been in Gorge most of the time because there's no shortage of corpses. Sometimes there is, depending on where you go. Holy shit. So we have 2 gnolls and a gnoll sergeant. That's pretty rough. So we're gonna pop a potion of haste. We'll pop the potion of agility. There we go. See, our offensive portion is fine. We can do quite a bit of damage as long as we hit them. But defensively, that's where our concern is. So that's why we try and up the unarmed combat. This needs to haste. Especially because we got confused. Okay, that was good. Like I said, offensively, we're okay. That's why we kind of want to find a big shield. That is a shield, but that's a buckler, which we can't use. It's actually too small for us. We are a large creature. So we have regeneration, but in combat, it's not really that useful because, you know, for every action you do, you regain a health, but you lose like 10. So it doesn't really work out. So regeneration is really for retreating. Here is what we're looking for, the ecumenical temple. And we can go through and it will just kind of reveal all the temples that are in this area. No enemies whatsoever. And it's just temples. Now, this is one of the smaller ones that I've seen. Somewhat. There's really not that many here. But there is the one that we want, which is Okawaru. Okawaru is a dangerous and powerful god of battle. Followers are expected to constantly prove themselves in combat and may channel Okawaru's might to enhance their prowess. Okawaru pays little heed to easy victories, but will reward worshippers for heroic feats against mighty foes. And he's just got 2 granted powers, gain great but temporary skills, and speed up your combat. So we do want to join this. And so we're starting up here at 2 stars out of a possible 6. And we can already use heroism. Temporarily increases all your combat skills, both offensive and defensive. Duration is increased by invocation skills. So we're going to want to use that as much as possible to up our invocation skills. Now, obviously, we're going to lose piety every time that we use it because we're depending on the god to help us out. But we're going to gain piety fairly quickly. It's not really... I've never had a real problem with Okawaru, especially because we have an Amulet of Faith. It's not a big concern. So now that we're on Dungeon 8, now we can start... Okay, we can start working on upping our piety in order to start getting some gifts, which would be nice. Okay, so you can kind of use this staircase trick I've found helps. It'll occasionally suck up an enemy with you. Shit. Okay, we're going to try to retreat. So I'm going to use my scroll of blink. We're going to go here. Now, the problem is this wolf is faster than I am. We can use heroism. I'm at 18 health now, so we're going to use heal wounds to bring up to 42. 21. We'll use another one. I don't want to die now. There we go. Like I said, it can happen. The deaths can happen very quickly because you just think, oh, it's just a couple of wolves. But no, suddenly half your health is gone or whatever, and you're screwed. Here's a 2-headed ogre. He could really mess our day up. We'll use heroism again, which will kick his ass pretty good. Oh, you can also, you press 5 to rest, to wait, and that will restore our health, even without regeneration. Any character that would happen to. Regeneration just makes it quicker. And we can just kill this stuff. Alright. So that was a tough intro to the level. Hopefully that was the hardest part. So you might be thinking that the levels look pretty similar to one another. In which case you are right. The early dungeon levels do look very similar to one another. But that will all change fairly soon. I'll use heroism again. Okay, so we killed the slave master, so we have a freed slave. So now this is a non-hostile character. So one of the few that I have seen. Okay, we have a lot of scrolls here. We got a lot of potions. We have 3 scrolls of identify. We'll hit up. We have enchant weapon, which is useless to us because we don't have a weapon. We'll get some potions. We got potions of degeneration. That's actually a good one to identify because that's one of the worst things you can drink. That reduces all your stats. I think it's temporary, but still. We're at level 10 now. As far as magic goes, you find these books that are on the ground. So you can pick those up, and those books will... Oh, shit. Heroism, save me now. Good. Good. Okay. So these books will all contain a number of spells. So the Book of Clouds, if we click on it, it contains a Mephitic Cloud, Conjure Flame, Poison Cloud, Freezing Cloud, Ring of Flames. And you'd say they each have different spell levels. The Book of Minor Magic has obviously starter stuff, Magic Dart, Blink, Column. So if we wanted to start using magic, this would be the thing to do. We could easily just click on this and say, I'm going to learn Magic Dart. And we could start using Magic Dart. Each time we cast it has a 43% chance of failure. But as we continue to use it and get better with it, it would get better and better. Blink is actually a really good spell, so I actually might try to use it. So now we can do Blink, cost 2 MP, and I wonder if I can just... I have a 69% chance to fail, so obviously I'm going to fail quite a bit. And as we do this, I'm getting contaminated with magical energy. So we can do this, but I'm going to get more and more contaminated. But if we just wait around, I don't know if this will actually buff our skill, but I'm wondering. Well, what we can do is I could go to skills and I could say, oh, I want to really learn translocations, which I am right now. It's got a plus. So 6% of my XP, or now 15% of my XP, is going into translocations, which case, I don't even have to use it. It's just a matter of, my part of my XP for every kill is going into that ability, and so we will eventually get better with it. So we're at 12 skill now for unarmed combat. So we're going to reduce that to a regular number, and we're going to buff up fighting. We're going to try to get that a little bit better. I might just dump stealth. I don't know how it's not taking a big chunk, but invocations is taking a very small amount. We could move that up to 20, which would reduce everything a little bit. This is the scale that is judging my heroism and things like that. I think I might actually try buffing that. I don't know if that's a good idea. Like I said, I'm not good at the game. I've never won. But finesse is a very good skill, and so having the potential ability to use finesse, like with a likely chance to do it, is very, very promising. So we picked up an embroidered robe, which is +2 robe of positive energy. Ooh, positive energy. So this protects us from negative energy, of course, if you know your old school D&D. So the only armor that we can really wear is robes, animal skins, which I don't think there's any magic animal skins, but maybe I'm wrong, troll armor, and dragon armor. Dragon armor is a long way off, so we don't have to worry about that. Here's a sacrificial altar of Ru. Ru is a pretty cool god. Basically, occasionally, he lets you sacrifice parts of your character in order to give you buffs. So he might have you sacrifice your hand, so you can't use two-handed weapons or shields or something like that, and you get a buff to, you get new abilities and stuff. It's a pretty cool god, but we are going with Oguraru. Here we have an enemy troll, so there will be a duel here. We will use heroism, and we will stomp his ass in. He disappeared. Where the hell did he go? I don't know. I'll kill a black bear because I'm a badass. There he is. How did you get over there? I'm using heroism, I said. You're dead. So occasionally they'll drop troll armor, but even if he did, it would probably be +0. I don't know if I would use it. Maybe I would use it. Maybe I would. Yeah, we probably need the defense. Yeah. So, soon, very soon now, there will be a change of the status quo. Here's a swamp drake. I got teleported. I hit a teleport trap. Ooh, noxious fumes. Ooh. Ooh, and a couple Komodo dragons. We need some heroism for this shit. See what I'm saying? Like an hour at 28 health. Heal wounds brings us up to 49. I can attempt to blink, but it's still a huge chance of failure, so we'll use the scroll. It probably tells me what's past those guys, though. Okay. We separated him from the Komodo, so we're able to take him out, which is good. So now we will take on the Komodo dragons. Once again, using heroism. And even then, they are tough cookies. So I don't want to take on the other one yet. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. But you can see what I mean. Like, I could have just rushed in there and, like, oh, I'll kill them all real quick. And then died. But the key is using everything at your disposal. Nothing is too cheesy. Nothing is overkill. Always be, you know, hoping for the best and expecting the worst kind of thing. Because anything could potentially kill you. And, you know, separating them and using cheese tactics and using corridors and all that kind of stuff. You know, basic sort of Dark Souls mentality, I guess. But even more so of using consumables, everything you've got all the time. Okay, so here we have the staircase to the lair. Staircase leading to the lair of beasts. Most adventurers find the lair of beasts to be an exciting change of climate. And indeed, there is something to be said about getting gored, mauled, and eaten rather than sliced, burnt, or stabbed. The lair contains the entrances to one of the swamp or the shoals, one of the snake pit or the spider nest, and to the pits of slime. So, the main dungeon consists of, I want to say 15 levels. I think. I've never made it that far. I think at the 15th level, you enter the realm of Zot, which is where the Orb of Zot is located. You're trying to get to the Orb of Zot and get out again, get to back to the first level of dungeon, and get out of the dungeon with the Orb of Zot in hand. That's how you win the game. In order to, I think, enter the realm of Zot, you need to have 3 ruins. Runes, yeah. Those ruins are located at the end of these different branches. So the lair is a branch, or I don't know if the lair is I don't know if the lair has a rune itself, but the shoals has a rune, the swamp has a rune, the snake pit, the rune, you know, they all have ruins at the end of these after, like, you know, ridiculous bosses and stuff. So you have to go all the way through at least 3 of them in order to get 3 runes, and then get the Zot, and then get out. There are 15 total in the game that you can get. So a full run is 15 runes and then the Orb of Zot. I have never gotten a single rune. So I'm a long ways off from beating this game once. And there are people who have beaten this game like, you know, 20 times or something. Alright, so we're in the lair. It is very dangerous here. Many games. If I get to the lair, I'm pretty happy. Beating the, or, you know, even going past this, that's something different. So we have blink frogs, which blink around, very annoying. We have some more Komodo dragons. That's great. I use a potion of healing, and I go down 16 health. Okay. Yeah, things are going to get very dangerous now. Pretty much almost every fight is going to have to be like, you know, potentially this could be the end. You can still, of course, tab kill things here, but you have to be a lot slower in everything you do. That is a bunch of centaurs that will shoot me before I even get over there, so we're going to go around. He's still shooting at me. You can just see that these levels are just kind of random kerfuffles of... Look at this. Why is this door in the middle of nowhere? That's some random shit. Here we have a porcupine. That's not a big problem. There's a group of centaurs there. But honestly, you don't have to kill everything on a level in order to move on, so... Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Go down. There we go. Okay, now I might try and cheese him. Okay. There is these other doors here that I might want to check out, so... So you can use flight to get over this deep water, this darker water. Some races can swim, but otherwise we have to just move like that. They were all standing around a temple to Mangg. I don't know why. So, there's a lot of little stones here. You can throw stones as a throwing weapon. Not very effective. What we're looking for, and I might have passed up, it's possible, because you don't auto-pick them up. But that would be a bummer. You can find large stones, which only large species, including trolls, can throw. And they're the best throwing weapon in the game. So, those would be nice to find. I would start leveling up throwing then. So now we have enough piety. You see we have 5 stars here. So we have access to finesse. Greatly increase your combat speed. We have 32% chance to cast it, which is much more than I normally would, because I started focusing on invocations a little bit. So that's actually pretty good. 32% is not really at the point of reliability, but we're getting there. Here is one of the worst enemies for me and for many people in the lair. This is a 5-headed Hydra. A great and nightmarish Lacertilian beast. It has many heads and the potential to grow many more. Hitting it with any bladed weapon bigger than a short blade risks lopping a head off, and causing 2 more to grow in its place. Very large claws, such as trolls, are long enough to do the same. Only a weapon branded with flame will cauterize the wound and prevent more heads from growing. So yes, it has about 71 health, but like it said, if I attack it, I will cut off its head. I think it's like a 35% chance or something like that to cut off a head, or maybe even 50%. And 2 more will grow, and so my furthest character, that 50-some thousand score that I showed you, he was a sword wielding or something like that Minotaur, and I had never encountered a Hydra before, and I was like, again, it was hubris. I was like, I can handle anything. Like, it's gonna grow some heads, but I'll just kill it quickly. No, you won't. It decimated me. So, obviously, we cannot attack it. We don't have any flame-bladed claws because that's crazy. And we don't really have any flame anything. Now, I could try and polymorph it, which might work, but our evocation skill is very low, so there's no guarantee of that. Our best bet is to just ignore it and move on and forget about it. We could also try and kill it with a Wand of Lightning, but again, we just have not been using many wands this game. There is really no chance that I'll be able to kill it in melee. This is where I would use large stones if I could throw them, but I do not have them. I guess we'll try... No, now I woke it up. He resists it with almost no effort. So we're going to go here, we're going to close the door on that chapter, and we're going to forget about it. Scroll of Fear. Scroll of Amnesia. I have to No. Scroll of enchant armor, so we can buff our cloak a little bit. Scroll of teleportation. That could have really screwed us over if it teleported us next to the Hydra. Let's see this potion. So scroll. It's a potion of Berserker Rage, so we'll rest that off. What is this? Potion of Ambrosia. So it makes us confused, but we feel invigorated. I don't want to be confused, so we'll end that. Alright, I don't think there's going to be much else. Maybe there's something past the Hydra, but I don't even want to risk it, so we'll go on to Lair 2. That's the kind of, you know, a big part of the game is just kind of learning what is dangerous, what is really dangerous, and what is just, no, I'm done, I'm moving on. First time I encountered the Hydra, I just didn't realize, and now I know, so there's no shame in not killing something, you know. Okay. Fuck. Get off my shit, Hydra. Oh my god, it's Hydra City. I blinked, but I didn't blink where I wanted to blink. I'm gonna die. Yep, you die. So, shows you your inventory at the time of death. Shows you your score compared to everyone else. And tells you what race you were, what class you were, the level, slain by an 8-headed Hydra. Lair 2. Oh, actually, that wasn't my high score where I died by the Hydra. That one, yeah, I got really far with that one, even though I was only level 14. But you can see, died by a Hydra there, headed Hydra there, 16-headed Hydra there. Hydras have been rough. Grinder, also very tough, because he can paralyze you and you just die. Rupert, that was... I only saw him once and he kicked my ass. Unseen Horror, those are just dicks. They're always invisible no matter what. They confuse you and you're just... They hit hard for some reason. Pykel was the guy with the slaves. You can see here, there's some ghosts. So when you die, the ghost of your character remains in the dungeon. And they don't always appear, but oftentimes, if you play the game enough and you suck enough, you will see the ghosts of your former characters. And they're usually fairly dangerous, because player characters are not, you know, incompetent, I guess. Yeah, so there you go, 9th. That was just kind of a slightly above average run for me. Nothing too special. And that's it, game over. That's Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. And it's, yeah, it's incredibly difficult. That sucked. I should not have really gone further into the level, not knowing what was going to happen, and a Hydra on my ass. But, you know, I've died for many reasons, and like I said, I've never even gotten a rune. I should probably watch some other videos and just do some more reading to see what people are doing, but mostly it's just about being intelligent, which is, it's a very different kind of difficulty than Dark Souls, and it's not really like a stressful game. I don't feel stressed really when I'm playing it. It's not like I'm sweating here, you know, I'm trying to do specific button combinations and dexterity and blah, blah, blah. It's a very slow, you know, at your own pace kind of game. And I like that a lot. And I do like that it's kind of a game of intellect. It has a lot going for it, and it's very addicting because it's so randomized, and you're just like, oh, just this run is going to be the one. You know, this run I'm going to get the right stuff, I'm going to get the right combo, I'm going to get powerful, and I'm not going to screw up, and this is going to be the run. And it never is, but you want to keep going. Yeah, I mean, graphically, obviously, it's very low scale. It's not a modern-looking game in any respect, but it's entirely functional. It's completely just, you know, entertaining to play. It's 100% free. I highly recommend it to anyone that shows any sort of moderate interest in it. If you watch this whole video, I think you owe it to yourself to check it out. Yeah, it's just good. I don't know how many runs I've done, because I've gotten into it a few times and I give up, and then I come back. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get back into Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. This time I'm gonna beat it. And every time I quit, you know, I end up with a high score list like this, where it's like, oh, I made it to Elf 2. That's good. Isn't that good? And it's not really good. Here, apparently I was using a cursed -3 flail. Why the hell? When the hell did that happen? I don't know. Or is that what the enemy... That might have been what the enemy was wielding? I don't know. It's just kind of a hit list of all my shitty moments. Yeah, I think that's what the enemy was wielding. God, I don't know what... I must have been watching a television show or something, and I was just like, oh yeah, tab, 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 and then dead. Alright. So that's Dungeon Crawl Stones. I'm not going to go for a second run, because that took about an hour. I went a little slower because I was talking, but still, you know, each run takes a good amount of time. I can't imagine getting like 2 ruins or something like that and then going for the 3rd one and dying. And it's just like, well, there goes 8 hours or something just down the tubes. When you suck, it's only like an hour investment each time. And it's kind of like, oh well. I'm gonna do better this time. Alright, so that's pretty much the extent of my knowledge of Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. I'm not very good, but I like it, and that's what's important. So my name is Mangg. Gaming and watching has been Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. I'll see you fine folks around.